So if anybody's curious as to why we do the design consultation process that we do prior to giving anybody a quote, here's why. It's about future planning. And just let me swap my hands over here. So when you're designing a high quality system, you're talking about a system that is going to be good for 20 years. Now, if a system is going to last 20 years, have you considered what the next 10, 15 years from now is going to look like? What are your plans? What are you planning on adding to the system? What else are you going to do? You might be starting in a little cabin, but are you going to build a house down the track? Is there a plan to build a workshop? All of these things need to be discussed. Here's why. So I was out at a previous client of ours. They're still a client, but we built their off-grid system a number of years ago, and it's been working amazing for them. So much so, they've now built a new house. That's fine. It was only ever going to be very simple. Let's say it's a simple system. It's a 3 kilowatt inverter. So this is the same equipment and design that we put into our SIAB Plus system, the smallest of the SIAB Plus systems. And for what they had planned at the time, that was fine. Now, they knew they were going to build the house, but we never really talked about what that was going to entail or what they wanted it to do. And, budgets are a concern. Now, when I say budgets are a concern, budgets are a limited mindset, because you're talking about somebody who has already bought a property. They're going to build hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of house. And then it's like, we don't really want to spend more than about sort of 20 grand on the off-grid system, and it's because they don't understand the value of it. Well, they do now, because now that they've built the house, they would like to have more electrical items in there. Well, we seem to have hit a limitation, don't we? Because that 3 kilowatt inverter from this particular brand of inverter, the manufacturer recommends that you don't add additional equipment into that particular type of system unless it's within 6 months of the manufacturing date. So if you have one of their systems, they can run master slave, so you can do parallel systems. But if they are more than 6 months old, the manufacturer recommends that you don't connect them. If they're not the same production model and series, don't set them up in parallel, which basically means if it's more than 6 months old, you can't expand it. So now, what do? Well, their option is basically get rid of that inverter, buy another one. But that's a waste of money, isn't it? So do you live with an undersized system and just put up with it? Do you spend more money than you need to because you should have done this in the first place and now it's undersized? And look, part of that was our process back in the day. We didn't do this whole conversation around future planning to the depth that we do now. And so I've got to take some responsibility for not walking them through that process, but it's why we changed. And so when people come to us and say, hey, I just want a price on a system, we say, no, we can't do that until after we have gone through a design consultation with you, because we're selling decent equipment. And if it's going to last you 20 years, then you need to be able to have planned for that 20 years. You can't just hope for the best. And so I know this bugs people because they don't see the value in designing the system at the beginning and having this big conversation. They just want the sell me a system, and it doesn't work that way. Now, to be fair, if we were selling really cheap rubbish, it does work that way. I can, let me rephrase that. I can't, because I won't sell cheap garbage to people because I know how bad it is. But if you're buying cheap rubbish, then future planning and future proofing is not an issue, because the system's going to be dead before you need to expand it, and you'll just buy more cheap rubbish and keep going. But if you're going to buy high quality equipment from anybody, not even us, but just from anybody, consider what you need in the future and design your system so that it is expandable, so that it can grow with your needs when things change, because I'm yet to find somebody whose 5 and 10 year plans are not different from what they think they are today. things change. So make sure you consider that when you're designing a system, and understand when you come to us and ask us to give you a price on an off-grid system, we can most definitely do it, but we need to actually design what you need exactly for you before we get to the pricing part, because otherwise, what on earth are we pricing? And everybody's different. So hope that clarifies a bit of that. You can always reach out to us at dciindustries.com.au, and there will be buttons and links and forms around there that you can get in touch with us and find out what you actually need for your system, go through the design process, and then we can actually give you a fixed price quote on what it would cost to do for what you need. So hope that helps. We'll chat to you soon.